Hey Leo, welcome back. I just pulled cards for you, and honestly, what came through is pretty intense. There is some serious energy around unexpected news and revelations that are heading your way. And I need to talk to you about what I am seeing because this reading has layers that we need to unpack together. So, I pulled 6 cards for you today. And right from the start, the energy feels like there is information coming that is going to shake things up. Not necessarily in a bad way, but definitely in a way that is going to require you to adjust and maybe reconsider some things you thought were solid. The universe has been holding back certain truths, and it looks like the veil is about to lift. Let me start with the first card I pulled, which is the 5 of Swords. Now, when I see this card in a reading about surprise news, it immediately tells me that there has been some kind of conflict or tension brewing beneath the surface. This is the card of discord, of winning battles but maybe losing the war, of communication that has been sharp or even hurtful. What I'm picking up here is that there is someone in your orbit, could be personal life, could be professional, who has not been completely upfront with you. There might have been arguments or disagreements that seemed resolved on the surface, but underneath, there are still unresolved feelings and unspoken truths. The 5 of Swords often shows up when someone has been playing their cards close to their chest, maybe even being a bit strategic or manipulative with information. I am getting the sense that this person thought they were protecting themselves or maybe protecting you by not sharing everything, but that strategy is about to backfire. The news that is coming is going to reveal what was really going on during those conflicts or tense moments. You might discover that someone was not being honest about their intentions, or that there was a whole other side to a story that you were never told. What makes this particularly relevant to you, Leo, is that you value loyalty and honesty as so much. You are someone who leads with your heart and you expect the people around you to do the same. So when you find out that someone has been withholding truth or playing games, it hits differently for you than it might for other signs. This 5 of Swords is saying that the surprise coming is going to sting a bit, because it is going to challenge your perception of someone or a situation. You might have thought you knew where you stood, but this revelation is going to show you that there was more happening behind the scenes than you realized. The energy here is also about choices and consequences. Someone made a choice to engage in this conflict in a certain way, to use certain tactics. And now the consequences of those choices are about to become visible. You might hear about something that was said about you or learn about actions that were taken that you were not aware of. The key thing I want you to remember with the 5 of Swords is that sometimes people act from their own wounds and insecurities. This is not about you being naive or missing red flags. This is about someone else operating from a place of fear or competitiveness. And that energy is finally going to be exposed. I'm also seeing with this card that you are going to have to decide how you want to respond to this news. The 5 of Swords can represent walking away from a battle that is not worth fighting, or it can represent standing your ground and defending yourself. What I'm hearing for you is that your power is going to come from not engaging in the drama or the back and forth. The person who is not prepared in this situation is actually the other party, because they did not expect their actions to come to light in this way. You, on the other hand, have the opportunity to take the high road and show your true character through how you handle this revelation. Now, the second card I pulled is the King of Swords. And this is really interesting following the 5 of Swords because this is the card of clarity, truth, and intellectual authority. After that initial shock and conflict energy, here comes the crystal clear truth cutting through all the confusion. The King of Swords does not mince words and does not deal in half-truths. This card is telling me that the news you are going to receive is going to be direct, factual, and probably pretty blunt. This could be coming from someone who has finally decided to speak up and tell you what is really going on. Maybe it is a friend who has been watching a situation unfold and can no longer stay silent. Maybe it is an authority figure, a boss, a mentor, someone who has inside information and feels it is time you knew. Whoever delivers this news is going to do it in a very matter-of-fact way. They are not going to sugarcoat it or try to soften the blow. They are going to give it to you straight, and while that might be a bit jarring, it is actually exactly what you need. The King of Swords represents someone who values truth above all else, even when truth is uncomfortable. This person or this energy is coming through to clear the air and set the record straight. They have done their homework, they have their facts lined up, and they are ready to present the full picture to you. What I love about this card showing up here is that it means you are not going to be left in the dark or with partial information. You are going to get the full story, the complete truth. Even the parts that might be hard to hear, for you as a Leo. This King of Swords energy is actually going to be empowering once you get past the initial surprise. You are someone who can handle the truth even when it hurts. You would rather know what is really happening than live in a fantasy or a carefully constructed lie. This card is promising you that clarity is coming, and with that clarity, you will be able to make informed decisions about your next steps. I'm also picking up that this King of Swords might represent an aspect of you that is going to emerge through this situation. After you receive this surprising news, you are going to tap into your own inner King of Swords. You are going to analyze the situation logically, cut through any emotional manipulation or gaslighting that might have been happening, and make clear-headed decisions based on facts rather than feelings. This is you stepping into your power as someone who can discern truth from fiction and who will not be swayed by pretty words or excuses. The King of Swords is also about justice and fairness. If someone has wronged you or misled you, this energy is about setting boundaries and making sure there are consequences for dishonest behavior. You are not being vindictive or petty. You are simply standing in your truth and requiring that others be held accountable for their actions. This is mature, evolved energy, and it is going to serve you really well as you navigate whatever this surprise news turns out to be. The third card that came through is the Four of Cups. And this is where things get really interesting because this card is all about apathy, disillusionment, and missed opportunities. When I see this card in your reading, Leo, it is telling me that part of the reason someone is not prepared for this news is because they have been checked out or in denial about what is really happening. This could be you, or it could be someone else involved in the situation. But there has been an energy of not wanting to see what is right in front of you. The Four of Cups shows someone sitting under a tree, arms crossed, looking bored or dissatisfied with the three cups in front of them, completely missing the fourth cup being offered by a hand coming out of a cloud. This is the card of being so focused on what is wrong or what is missing that you cannot see the gifts or opportunities that are right there. In the context of this reading about shocking news, I am interpreting this as someone having been in a state of complacency or refusing to acknowledge warning signs that something was off. Maybe you had a gut feeling that something was not quite right, but you talked yourself out of it. Maybe you saw little red flags but convinced yourself you were being paranoid or overthinking. The Four of Cups is that energy of numbing out or distracting yourself rather than facing uncomfortable truths. And now, the universe is basically shaking you awake and forcing you to pay attention. What I find fascinating about this card is that it also suggests that within this shocking news, there might actually be a hidden gift or opportunity that you are not seeing yet. Yes, the initial revelation might be disappointing or upsetting, but there is something being offered to you through this experience. Maybe it is the opportunity to finally release a situation or person that was not serving your highest good. Maybe it is the chance to realign with your authentic self and your true desires. Maybe it is the universe clearing out what is stagnant so that something better can come in. The Four of Cups is asking you to shift your perspective. Instead of only seeing this as bad news or a negative disruption, can you also look for what is being offered to you? What door is opening because another one is closing? What truth are you finally able to accept because pretending is no longer an option? This card is reminding you that sometimes the things that feel like endings are actually beginnings in disguise. I am also getting that the Four of Cups speaks to emotional withdrawal or protection. After this news comes out, you might feel like pulling back, closing off, or retreating into yourself. That is a natural response to feeling blindsided or hurt. But this card is gently warning you not to stay in that withdrawn state for too long. Do not let disappointment turn into bitterness. The fourth card I pulled is the Eight of Wands. And wow, this is the card of swift movement. Rapid communication and things happening fast. After the more contemplative and heavy energy of the previous cards, here comes this burst of speed and momentum. The Eight of Wands is telling me that when this news breaks, it is going to happen quickly. There is not going to be a slow reveal or a gradual unfolding. This is more like a sudden download of information, messages coming in rapid fire, everything happening at once. I am seeing multiple forms of communication potentially involved here. Maybe you get a text message that leads to a phone call, that leads to an email, that leads to a face-to-face conversation, all within a short period of time. Or maybe the news spreads quickly through your social circle or workplace, and suddenly everyone seems to know something that you are just finding out about. The Eight of Wands has this quality of information traveling at lightning speed, and it can feel a bit overwhelming when you are on the receiving end of it. What this card is preparing you for, Leo, is that you are going to need to process things quickly and make decisions on the fly. This is not a situation where you will have weeks to think things over and carefully plan your response. The Eight of Wands demands that you be agile, adaptable, and ready to act. Trust your instincts in the moment. You are not going to have time to overthink every little detail. So rely on your gut and your immediate read of the situation. The positive side of the Eight of Wands is that it also represents forward movement and progress. Yes, this news is going to be shocking and potentially disruptive, but it is also going to break through stagnation and get things moving again. Maybe you have been stuck in a holding pattern, waiting for something to shift or change. This is that shift. It might not be the shift you were expecting or hoping for, but it is movement nonetheless. And movement is always better than being stuck. I'm also picking up that the Eight of Wands can represent travel, or things coming from a distance. Is it possible that this news involves someone who is far away or information that is coming from another location? Maybe you hear something about what someone said or did when you were not around. Or maybe the news itself prompts some kind of travel or movement on your part. Either way, there is this sense of energy that has been building up elsewhere and is now zooming directly towards you. The Eight of Wands is also about alignment and things falling into place. Even though the initial impact might feel chaotic, there is a divine timing to all of this. The universe knows exactly when you need to receive this information in order to make the right moves for your future. Trust that even though this feels sudden and unexpected, it is actually perfectly timed for your growth and evolution. Now. The fifth card, and this one really drives home the theme of your reading, is the Ten of Swords. I know this card can look scary in a deck because it literally shows someone lying face down with 10 swords in their back, but I want you to hear me out on what this means in your context. The Ten of Swords is about betrayal, endings, and hitting rock bottom, but it is a LSO about the absolute completion of a difficult cycle. This is as bad as it gets, which means the only direction from here is up. In this reading about shocking news and someone not being prepared, the Ten of Swords is confirming that yes, what you are going to find out is going to feel like a betrayal. It is going to feel like you were stabbed in the back by someone you trusted or believed in. There is going to be a moment where you feel completely defeated. Like, how did I not see this coming? How did I allow this to happen? What does this mean about my judgment or my relationships? But here's what I need you to understand about the Ten of Swords, Leo. This card is not just about the pain of betrayal. It is about the end of that pain. It is about finally seeing the full truth, as devastating as it might be, so that you can stop living in illusion or denial. The swords are all in your back. There are no more coming. The worst has been revealed. And now you can begin the process of pulling those swords out, healing those wounds, and rising again. The person who is not prepared in this situation is likely the person who thought they could keep their actions hidden forever. They were not expecting to be exposed. They were not anticipating that their deceptions or their hurtful behavior would come fully to light. The Ten of Swords represents that moment of total exposure where there is nowhere left to hide and nothing left to deny. For them, this is the end of being able to maintain their carefully crafted image or their web of lies. For you, even though this is going to hurt, the Ten of Swords is ultimately liberating. You are being freed from a situation that was toxic or false. You are being released from investing your energy in something or someone that was never going to give you what you deserved. Yes, there is grief in that. Yes, there is disappointment and anger and all of those very valid emotions. But underneath all of that, there is also relief. Relief that you do not have to wonder anymore. Relief that you do not have to keep trying to make something work that was fundamentally broken. Relief that the truth is finally out and you can make choices based on reality rather than fantasy. The Ten of Swords also speaks to martyrdom and self-sacrifice. Have you been sacrificing your own needs or well-being for someone who is not reciprocating? Have you been the one doing all the emotional labor or trying to hold something together single-handedly? This card is saying that those days are over. The shocking news is going to make it impossible for you to continue in that role. And honestly, that is a good thing. You deserve reciprocity. You deserve honesty. You deserve people in your life who show up for you the way you show up for them. And finally, the sixth card I pulled is the Hermit, and I love that this is where your reading ends because the Hermit is all about wisdom, introspection, and finding your inner light. After everything that is going to happen with this shocking news and all the turbulence and emotions that are going to come up, the Hermit is telling you that you are going to need some time alone to process and integrate everything. This is not about isolating yourself out of hurt or bitterness. This is about intentionally stepping back so that you can reflect on what has happened, what you have learned, and who you want to be moving forward. The Hermit carries a lantern representing the inner wisdom and guidance that you already possess. When external voices and opinions get too loud or confusing, the Hermit reminds you to turn inward and consult your own inner knowing. I am seeing that after this news comes out and the initial dust settles, you are going to crave solitude and quiet. You are going to want to retreat from the noise and the drama and just be with yourself for a while. Honor that need, Leo. Even though you are typically a social sign who thrives on connection and interaction, there are times when solitude is exactly what heals and restores you. This is one of those times. The Hermit is also about seeking truth and deeper understanding. You are not going to be content with surface-level explanations or easy answers. You are going to want to really dig into why this happened, what you can learn from it, and how you can use this experience to grow and evolve. This might involve journaling, therapy, meditation, or just long walks where you allow your mind to wander and process. Give yourself permission to take all the time you need to work through this. What I love most about the Hermit showing up here is that it represents you, becoming your own teacher and guide. You are not looking outside yourself for validation or for someone to tell you how to feel or what to do. You are turning inward and trusting your own wisdom and your own process. This is incredibly powerful. Leo, this is you reclaiming your authority over your own life and your own narrative. The Hermit also suggests that this period of introspection is going to lead to some really profound insights. Not just about this specific situation, but about yourself and your patterns and what you truly want going forward. You might realize things about yourself that you had not fully acknowledged before. You might understand why you made certain choices or why you were drawn to certain people. This is deep soul work and it is going to transform you in beautiful ways. So let me bring this all together for you. Leo, the energy of your reading is very clear. Shocking news is coming your way, news that is going to reveal deceptions, conflicts, and truths that have been hidden. Someone in this situation, possibly multiple people, are not prepared for this revelation. They thought they could keep things under wraps, but the universe has other plans. You are going to experience this as a jolt, as something that disrupts your sense of security or your understanding of a situation or relationship. But here's what I want you to hold on to. This shocking news, as painful as it might be initially, is ultimately serving your highest good. It is removing blinders. It is showing you reality. It is freeing you from false connections and wasted energy. Yes, there's going to be a period of processing and healing. Yes, you are going to need to grieve what you thought was true. But on the other side of this, you're going to be stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your authentic self. I would love to hear from those of you who resonated with this reading.